This is a spreadsheet in the workbook where you're all going to be adding your own work. And this is an example that you can follow that I have done most of the work on. So this is some data that I pulled down from the New York State website. It's actually a very small subset. You can see it's only about 38 rows or so, 30, not even that many. Of private and public employment in Albany County from 2000 to 2018. And it was part of a much larger spreadsheet. I extracted it. This is the way it came into the other spreadsheet. It's just I only took these rows and I left the other 100,000 somewhere else. So you may have to do the same thing to get a small size sheet. But as you'll see, even though I've got only two different types of data, I've got multiple types of data, but I've got two categories of data. I've got private employment and public employment. And then I've got the number of businesses, the number of people employed by all of those businesses, the amount of wages those businesses paid out, and the average annual salaries of those businesses. If you take this number and divide it by this number, you're going to get this number. So what I did was I wrote out some questions that it would be interesting to answer, and all of them can be answered from this data. So again, back to the idea of I want you to look at the data and come up with a story to tell. It's not very hard to make up a story, even with a small amount of data. So for example, my questions are, how has private employment in Albany County changed in the 21st century? How has public employment changed in Albany County in the 21st century? What has been the change in total employment in Albany County? Now remember, I don't even have the total employment showing here as a separate item, and that's because it's just the sum of these two. So I could have had it, it was available, and I don't need it, and I'm going to show you why. So I've just answered those three questions in one chart right here. So what you'll see is the blue is the private employment, and it has gone up slightly. The red is the public employment, and it's actually gone down pretty substantially. It's not as much of a part of the picture as the private employment, so it's not as shocking, but actually a decline from 67,000 to just under 61,000 is almost a 10% decline in 20 years. So that's pretty substantial. And the total employment is just the two of them together. So I did that, and what kind of chart do I use? So when you create your charts, you're going to go up to, let's go back here and I'll show you. So you go to this icon here and say insert chart. Now I'm not going to do it because I don't want to put a chart on this page right now, which is where it'll come up. But when you do it, actually I will show you. When you do it, a chart pops up here. It may have some data. It doesn't matter. You can replace it. See these three dots up here, the vertical ellipsis? You're going to want to go move chart to own sheet. And when you do that, it goes out here and it just becomes something and you can work on it there. But we're just going to get rid of it because I don't want that chart. So that's gone. So here are the questions, and you can review them on your own. You have access to this sheet. And I answered three of them in one chart. I also created a couple pie charts. So this is employment in 2000, and to do that, I only took the numbers. I took the 2000 numbers and the 2018 numbers for the two series of total employment, and I created charts, pie charts. So not very complicated, just two slices of the pie. But what we see is that in 2000, the private sector had just under 71%, and the public sector had just over 29% of the jobs in Albany County. By 2018, the private sector had 74%, the public sector 26%. So clearly the private sector has grown, the public sector has shrunk. It's been by about 3%. Is that a trend? I don't know. You'd need to do more research to answer that question, but that's something you could say in your story. It may be a trend or it may just be random fluctuations. So anyway, let's go back here and get to the final part of this story. So I'm also interested in rate of change, but New York State didn't provide any of the numbers I need to measure change, percentage changes, or cumulative changes over time. So I'm going to have to do that myself. How am I going to do that? Well, because this is a spreadsheet and not a database, in a database, the data would be in one place, and you would simply write what are called queries to extract data in different ways to get different answers. Um, and you might have to use some other software to do that in conjunction with a database, but that's not what we're doing here. So in a spreadsheet, everything's in front of you. That's a good thing, but you do have to sometimes have multiple copies of the same information. So we're going to do that. I need the dates, so I'm just going to grab these dates here. How do I do that? Well, I'm going to put my cursor there, and I'm going to copy all the way down to here, or highlight all the way down to there with my arrows. You could also drag it, which I'll show you in a second. And I'm going to go up here and say copy. Okay. So I want to get the dates over here, and I'm just going to put them here, but I can't just hit paste, because if I hit paste, I'm actually going to get the formula. It's going to say equals, and then whatever cell I pulled that out of. So I'm going to do something different. I'm going to go paste special where it says values only. So now you can see I've just got the number 2018. I don't have something that tells me I copied it from here, which is what I would have gotten. I would have gotten equals G30 if I'd simply pasted it in, and I don't want that because I'm going to change the order of these. Now I've got to get the dollars that people are making. So I've got private salaries on this side. So private is here. Private's on top of public. So I'm going to do the same thing. You can verify it. Yep, total private. So again, I'm going to go up here, edit, copy, and you can also use Option C if it's a Mac, or Command C, Control C if it's a Windows machine. So I'm going to do the same thing, paste special. Don't paste the formula, paste the values only. And then finally, I'm going to go here and get the public sector wages. And again, I'm going to say copy. And then I'm going to go over here to dollars on the public sector side and do one more paste special values only. Okay, so now I've got the dollars, salaries for public and private, and the years, and that's all I need right now so I can start computing changes. So what I want to do, and I don't need these two columns because there's nothing in them, but I need to grab these all together, because I'm going to sort these. I'm going to flip these upside down. So I have 2000 here and 2018 down here, and I want these numbers to flip with them. So I select the entire range, and I go up here where it says data, and then I click on sort. Now I've highlighted the row that has the titles for the columns, the headers of the columns. So I'm going to click that. Data has header rows. Yes, I want to sort by year. I don't want to sort by any of these other things. I want to sort by year. I want it first to last, so A to Z, which it interprets for numbers 0 to positive infinity. And I'm going to hit sort, and now you can see I just flipped everything upside down. Now I'm ready to go with my calculations. So percentage change is simply the difference in the 2 years divided by the earlier year. So that's equal sign, left parenthesis, this number, which is in V12, minus the number right above it, V11, right parenthesis, division sign, forward slash, and again, V11, hit return, and that's percent. Now, I don't have to write that out every single time. I want to get it in all these cells, and look how I'm going to do it. This is why spreadsheets are great. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to put my arrow there and pull it all the way down here. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to hit, and this time I'm hitting paste, not paste special, paste. And look what happened. It just did all these calculations. Notice this is V12 minus V11 over V11, V13 minus V12 over V12, etc. And I can also do it horizontally. I can pick this up, highlight it, copy it, put it here, hit paste. It fills in the whole row here. So now I know the percentage changes. And here's the last one. Now this is quite a bit more complicated, and you may need a bit more of an explanation about that, and we can take care of that if necessary. I want the cumulative change. So I'm going to put a 0 here because it doesn't hurt, and it's actually going to help in this case. And obviously the change from 99 to 1999 to 2000 probably wasn't 0, but we don't know what it was and we don't care. We're just going to deal with 2001 to 2018. But I do need this 0 here, and you'll see why in a second. So there's a function, and all the functions are over here. There's a function under math here called product. And that's the one I'm going to use right here. So I could have typed equals product. I would have done that if I weren't doing this video because I know that's the answer, but now you know where to find it if you're looking for functions. So the product I want is, I want to take the number 1 and I want to add it to the change from the previous period, which in this case is 0. And I'm going to type a comma, and then I'm going to take 1 plus this 3.72% change. So what I'm doing is I'm saying, give me the change for the previous 2 years and multiply them times each other. But I don't want to end up with just 1. In fact, what I'll do is I'll hit return, so you'll see this is not going to look right because it isn't right. This should be the same answer as this, but you can see it's got a 1 on it. Well, that's because of the way I did it, and I did do it the right way, but I have to remove that 1. So I do that. And now, when I hit percent, I see, yes, the cumulative change from 2000 to 2001 is the same as the 1-year change because it's the same calculation. I've done it in 2 different ways, but it's the same calculation. However, this will not be true going forward because now what I want to do is take the cumulative change from here, adding this, but again, I can use the copy function. So I copy this and I put it here, and I'm just going to do the 1 cell so you can see that now. And now you see, okay, well, what is this saying? How do you know this is right? This is right. This is saying if the private sector workers got a 3.72% increase in wages in 2001, and they followed that up with a 1.8% increase in wages in 2002, that combined is a 5.6% increase in wages. So now I know that works. So now I'm just going to copy it. I'm going to paste it all the way down here. And we've seen private sector wages have gone up 65% in the last 17 years. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this entire column and I'm going to copy it. And I'm going to put it here. And I'm going to hit paste. And you're going to see public sector wages went up 61% in the same time frame. So that's all I need. I'm not going to do any graphing here. You guys can figure that out. That's how you need to use your spreadsheet to tell your story.